25 minutes to 9. Welcome back to Sunrise. Ahmed Akanbi joins us now to share or give his perspective on the ongoing national conference. He's a legal practitioner as well. Thank you for coming on today.
It's a pleasure, sir.
What happens in this conference is ongoing at the moment. They have crossed that threshold of between 75% or not. They say they've agreed on 70% and deliberations are ongoing. Are you optimistic?
Well, the straight answer will be that I'm not optimistic.
Why not?
The first question to ask is that, is there a need for a conference? The average Nigerian is tired of talk shows. I see it as a talk show. We've had several conferences. We had one during Abacha's time. We had one during Obasanjo's time. And now we're having another conference during President Jonathan's time. The question I would want to ask really is that, why do you wait to the last twilight of your administration before convening a conference? It is not in doubt. We all agreed that Nigeria has problems. Both the protagonist and the antagonist, we all agree. Is 3 months enough to address all these problems?
Are we talking about the timing of the conference or the necessity of the conference now?
Both. I'm talking of the timing, I'm also talking of the necessity.
Now, some people will say that we've moved past that, in the sense that the conference is already underway. You already met, you saw one of the delegates here. He's filled with plenty of optimism. It's something he's always canvassed, and now it's like a dream come true for him. He's at the conference. He likes what is happening there. He sees what's happening. There have been challenges, but it would seem that gradually they are surmounting the challenges. Why is so pessimistic about it?
Are you aware that before this conference came into being, there was a committee, the Okuromo committee, and several recommendations were made. I have a report, the salient report of that committee here with me. What I can tell you straight off is that 80% of the recommendations made by that committee have not been effected.
Which include?
The first recommendation was that there should be no restrictions. People should free to come in and discuss. No restrictions whatsoever. And the basis of representation should have been that people should be elected to that conference. Why would you waste taxpayers' money to constitute a committee that comes out with a report that at the end of the day you don't put into use?
I think that the primary, sorry to interrupt you, but the committee also had a name. I think it was an advisory committee on the national conference. So the president had the prerogative to either take or not take the advice.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. Why do you have endless committees? Why do you have endless talk shows? If the report of that committee couldn't have been implemented, what is the guarantee that the report of this conference will be put into effect?
You're a legal practitioner.
Yes.
Do you agree that our constitution does need some amending?
Definitely.
Are you satisfied with the work that has been done so far in trying to amend the constitution?
So far, so good. And the process is still ongoing. I'm of the view, and a very sincere one at that Nigeria has one of the best constitutive documents in the world. Very exhaustive. Provides for all kinds of situations and scenarios. We haven't gotten it right. There will always be subsequent amendments after amendments, really. Now you have two systems. You have the legislature, duly elected, in quotes, so to speak. Now you have a national conference. Do you think that if this conference comes out with far-reaching reports, that all elective office holders should vacate their offices, do you think it will be implemented?
What if they don't come up with that recommendation?
That is an assumption. They are talking of restructuring.
So is yours.
Sorry, they are talking of restructuring. I listened to the last speaker, going back to the parliamentary system of government. If they have to go back to the parliamentary system of government, a lot of institutions will be affected. And are they ready to give up? The question to ask is that, are they ready to give up their seats? We're in Nigeria. We know.
You heard this comment.
Yes.
About how the National Assembly seems to be cooperating with them on the goings on at the moment. So why pessimism?
Are you aware I think maybe by next week, the Senate will commence, voting on the process of constitutional amendment. I mean, why do you duplicate processes?
Is that the same thing?
That is what it means.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but you seem to agree that Nigeria as it is right now needs a restructuring. Do you agree with that?
What Nigeria requires as it is right now, it is a question of leadership. It is a question of good governance. It is a question of access to the rule of law. The ordinary Nigerian on the street, and I speak for myself here, sincerely, I'm not bothered about where my president comes from, for all I care. If he delivers on the dividends of democracy, I can send my kids to good schools, I have access to electricity, 6 hours a day. That's all I ask for. He's an Ijaw man. If he delivers on certain mandates, if he lives there, for all I care, he may as well bring another Ijaw man to come and succeed him. Barack Obama did not become president of the United States. Did not become president of the United States. Sorry, primarily became president of the United States because they felt he could deliver on certain mandates. If they had looked at his pedigree in terms of origin, he'll never become president.
Now, some people have gone a little beyond that, and they've said that, you know, the way we are currently, because of how our system is, that a presidential system of government doesn't seem to help us, and you know, and the way we are generally in terms of our ethnicity, in terms of, you know, how we do things generally. And they're saying, you know, since everybody's going to the center, we say we're a federal government, but we're not really federal in structure, and as such, we should restructure. The question I was trying to bring up from that is, do you think that the National Assembly could have mustered the will to do the restructuring that was needed, or do you think that it could have been done within the system itself?
Certainly, the National Assembly could muster the will.
Because this is not the first attempt at an amendment of the Constitution.
The National Assembly, they are supposed to be the representatives of the people. We all agree. We all agree. We all agree. We all agree. We all agree that elections in 2011 were free and fair. And if we agree to that extent, whether we like it or not, we have to sink or swim with them. Whoever is not happy has to wait till 2015 to effect a change. Assuming now, let me give you a scenario. Assuming the present administration does not come back in 2015, what happens to the report of that conference? Another government can come and grandstand and say, look, I want to have my own conference for one reason or the other. Let me tell you something.
Do you really think that's possible, considering the amount of efforts that's
it is indeed very possible.
It
is indeed very possible. We had during Obasanjo's regime. What has happened to that report? It's probably in the dustbin.
But you can have another regime implement the recommendations of the conference as well. It's also possible.
From experience, from the Nigerian experience, I dare say that it's not possible.